The Canonization and Vilification of Baroness Thatcher. This is the Monday Line on Wednesday. I'm Dennis Campbell. Now, I'd rather write eulogies about Jonathan Winters, an undisputed comedy king, or Annette Funicello, whom every prepubescent American boy watching in the 1950s who saw the Mickey Mouse Club had a crush on, or the incredibly witty Roger Ebert, who spoke more truth about film and life than many will in much longer lives. They, though, had the misfortune of passing in this event-filled week, where all of the media oxygen has been sucked out of every room over the passing of a divisive global political figure, Baroness Margaret Thatcher, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Now, when one mentions those last three nations, her impact on the lives of coal miners and labor unions brought strong emotions, huge protests on Saturday, and many hate-filled commentaries. There was debate whether BBC Radio 1 would play the Wizard of Oz classic song, Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, a song that raced to the top of the pop charts when Mrs. Thatcher resigned in 1990, and again this past week with her death. They didn't play it. Even department store Harrods in Knightsbridge could not resist the famous movie scene, showing two legs and ruby slippers clearly belonging to the Wicked Witch of the East, as if their store had landed on her instead of Dorothy's house. Now, both lionized and demonized by the Conservatives that she led, her signature policies for 17 years, known as Thatcherism, were placed in the spotlight, and, some would say, on trial this past week. As class divides grow in the United Kingdom, David Cameron did not need this vivid reminder that his own policies, indeed modelled on hers, were failing along with EU-wide austerity. How divisive is the Baroness? Buckingham Palace expressed reservations that armed services would provide honour guards. They suggested this would not be a good idea. Now, that's Her Majesty's oblique but very clear way of saying, do not do this. PM Cameron is trying to cling to her skirt hem as the UK teeters on the brink of a triple-dip recession that is, thanks in part to his devotion to her policies. The bottom line is these policies allowed bankers and elite corporate robber barons to exploit unions, shred the social safety net, and create even further divides. Now, Sally Bercow is a controversial Labour supporter. She also happens to be the wife of Tory Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow. Over the weekend, she declared in a public statement she would not, quote, join in the, quote, attempted canonization, close quote, of the former Prime Minister, close quote. A lot of quotes there. She indeed took the matter public, partly because her husband came under fire by his own party for not shutting down Glenda Jackson's fiery speech during a debate honouring the Iron Lady. It seems MP Jackson, yes, she is that Glenda Jackson, star of the films A Touch of Class and Women in Love, has been the Labour Party MP for Hampstead and Kilburn since 1992. She took to the floor of the House of Commons in a measured speech denouncing the policies of the Baroness to loud catcalls from the Tories for spoiling their love-in.
But the basis to Thatcherism, and this is where I come to the spiritual part of what I regard as a desperately wrong track that Thatcherism took this country into, is that we were told that everything I had been taught to regard as a vice, and I still regard them as vices, under Thatcherism was in fact a virtue. Greed, selfishness, no care for the weaker, sharp elbows, sharp knees, they were the way forward. We heard much over and will continue to hear over the next week of the barriers that were broken down by Thatcherism, the establishment that was destroyed.
Can't take it.
What we actually saw, the words that have been circling around with stars around it, is that she created an aspirational society. It aspired for things, as indeed one of the former Prime Ministers, who himself had been elevated to the House of Lords, spoke about selling off the family silver and people knowing under those years the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Speaker Bercow rightly stopped their howls of protest, saying this was indeed the People's House and Miss Jackson was speaking for and on behalf of her constituents, that nothing she said was harmful to the lady or the House, and to shut her down would have been harmful to democracy. Alas, though, Number 10 and the Prime Minister saw it differently and turned up the heat on the Speaker. Sally Bercow rose to the defense of her husband and indeed the independence of all women in that statement. Quote, "As Common Speaker, John will be attending the funeral, and rightly so, but I am not obliged to participate in my husband's public life. Last time I looked, this was the 21st century. John holds public office and an important position, not me. Although I am genuinely sorry that Baroness Thatcher has passed away, I am not going to be a hypocrite and join in this attempted canonization of her." Close quote. Now, according to an article in The Guardian, quote, Mrs. Bercow accused Number 10 of leaking details of her decision not to attend to the press to try to undermine her husband, close quote. She said, quote, "I'm astonished that Cameron's people haven't got better things to do. It's a predictably pathetic attempt to cause trouble for the Speaker, which has utterly failed, and a complete non-story. Margaret Thatcher wouldn't have given a monkey's whether or not I attend her funeral, so I don't see why the media cares either." Close quote. So, audiences around the world will watch a divisive figure laid to rest in a public funeral costing £8 to £10 million. Now, that amount is also raising a furore within and across the British public. No one should begrudge a former leader a proper send-off. I personally hated everything the Iron Lady's policies stood for. They contributed to 3 decades of decline, creating a get yours and screw everyone else mentality that has long permeated both sides of the Atlantic. And yet her family is owed the opportunity to send their own beloved family member off in peace. Now, I'll likely pass on watching the festivities. Living in a democracy, I, like everyone else, can simply choose to turn the television off. I will only speak ill of her policies, never of the lady. I admired her tenacity and ability to achieve what she did in a male-dominated Whitehall that schemed and thieved its way to eliminate her. She paved the way for women in politics, and without her, we might not have had the opportunity to see Ms. Jackson deliver her speech on the floor, or the former U.S. Secretary of State, Mrs. Clinton, about to embark on a campaign to succeed President Obama. Let's hope that Mrs. Clinton has learned from Mrs. Thatcher that the lady is not for turning, and indeed chooses to devote all of her powers to bringing balance back into the world's broken systems.